Welcome everyone once again to our regular weekly show live on U2 Spain. I'm Skatz, and today I'll be asking my expert guest and residency specialist Chris from Upsticks.es all about how to connect with your community when you move to Spain, whether in business or socially. There are plenty of parallels there. Plus, of course, we'll be answering your questions and comments on the live chat, either over there or down there, depending on your platform, and in the comments and from social media about today's topic and about visas and residency and moving to Spain in general. If you're watching the recording of the show, you can, within a few days of the live broadcast, find the time codes. There should be a red bar there or in the video description below for all the answers you need, so you don't have to scroll through and watch the video all the way through the whole hour. So, welcome to U2 Spain. Are you ready to dance? Cue the music. Very quickly then, before I introduce Chris, in case you didn't know, you can support this channel now by buying me a coffee via the link in the video description below. And also we have a website being built at u2spain.com. That'll be coming live very shortly, and there's the relatively new merchandise page with some fun t-shirt and hoodie designs and other things. The links to all of those are below, including also some very helpful links where you can get discounts on your documents being apostilled and translated. And we have a guest next week who is going to talk about that specifically. And also you can get great deals on healthcare, digital business cards, Spanish mobile phone plans and other things. And once again, we'll be having prizes to give away for the best questions and comments from you. So without further ado, let's meet our brilliant guest for the day. It's Chris from Upsticks. Hi, Chris.
Morning, how are we doing?
Great, yes. I would say it's lovely and sunny here today, but this is just a fake picture behind me. It's a little bit cloudy today.
Nice. How is it your end? I'm coming your way today. Is it nice?
It's nice. Yeah, it's not, but I can see some blue sky through there. But there's a chance of showers today. Somebody's got the very, very first car boot sale on in Computer today, and of course that's outdoors. So don't know how that's going to go.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I keep forgetting actually to say that some of the people watching obviously are here for the very first time. So hello, welcome to all you newbies. Bienvenidos. And so, Chris, tell us very briefly what Upsticks is all about, so everyone can be sure as I am how brilliant you are.
We talked about taglines, didn't we? We were having a vote in a tagline, weren't we?
Yeah.
So we came up with one, which was we're a key part in your big dream, which we quite like. I've been using that on the website. That will be change it. So yeah, evidently we help people with residency coming to Spain and getting set up legally with their paperwork. So non-lucrative visas, NIEs, EU residency, EU family members, which you very much know about, don't you, Skatz?
No, absolutely.
And we also help people register their vehicles here in Spain as well once they're here. So making sure we're the key part in your big dream.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to Monday. Liz and I are coming over to, we're going to be meeting up in the middle, really, in Feliz Malaga to do Liz's TIE.
Yes. I'm just preparing the file now. And I'll be buying you a coffee for real. Why not? I should have had the file ready. I had it prepared, didn't I?
You did, yes.
Here we go. There you go. There's Perfect. The file ready to go.
That's your special TIE file.
Special TIE file with the appointment on the front. And then when you go in,
excellent. Perfecto. Very professional.
Very good.
Good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, what are we chatting about today? We're chatting about making connections, which is really important, whether you're moving to Spain or you're already there, whether you're retired or working like we are. And Chris and I have had different experiences because he's been here for decades and I've just arrived. But it must be obvious to regular viewers of the show that we're connected quite closely. Chris is now sponsoring this program, and I think the way we've done that is a good example of what we're going to be talking about. Our businesses have a common theme of helping people move to Spain, and it makes complete sense to support each other and be connected and be part of a bigger network too. So how have you achieved that then, Chris?
Yeah, for sure. It's always, I think we're, especially in the expat community, it's really good when people work together. I mean, as you say, we've really like connected on, you know, with what you're doing with the channel. I think it's good for people as well. It's more of a community, isn't it? You know, than anything else. And don't get me wrong, obviously, you know, for us as a business, it helps being on these lives and chatting because people contact us and you know, ultimately use our services. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the connection, it's great. I think things have changed over the last few years, and especially with COVID and Brexit. But yeah, I mean, common businesses which help and complement each other. You know, if you're setting up here, it's just the way to go.
That's true. It's all about finding like-minded people, and that's the parallel. I mean, that's socially as well. Even if you're not in business, you actually, somebody on the internet group just gave a little hint of this, so I'll put him up here. It was J.D. Robinson. A piece of advice for him. He says, "We just go to local bars, markets, restaurants, etc. Just go out there and stay away from the English shops, bars, etc. It's the only way to learn." Good advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you know, getting involved in the local community. The thing is, I mean, here in the Costa del Sol, I mean, I didn't know too much, to be perfectly honest, about Competa until we met. And, you know, you've opened my eyes to the community that there is in Competa. And, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing the support networks which are up there, the Facebook groups which are there, you know, and I mean, how have you found that moving into a new area? Obviously, you were first up in Locker, weren't you? But now you've explored. So how is that with getting involved as a new person coming in?
Well, yeah, Locker to begin with is much more Spanish, and I found that a little bit daunting. We were staying with our friends Steve and Mandy, who are English, so they helped us sort of integrate there, but we didn't get out and about much actually in Locker because we were spending time looking for a house. So we were driving around half of Andalusia, just checking out different towns. But once we arrived in Competa, having found that there's a big social group here, you know, it's half English speaking people, and the Spanish people speak a lot of English here anyway, so it'd be very easy to avoid having to speak Spanish. We do it mostly in the cafes, really. Even our landlord, who's Spanish, speaks really good English. He's spent a lot of time in England, I think, and he deals with a lot of English clients. So we're having to go to language classes, which happen to be run by an English person, but she's been here for 20 years, just to get the Spanish language going. And we really need to integrate more now that it's easier not having to wear a mask in public. I think that will be easier. We'll be able to get out to more social events, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So we've not done enough, and I'm really aware that we've not done enough yet to integrate.
It's funny you say about the mask thing. That really put a spanner in the works with stuff. I remember, but even me years ago, when we used to do the residencies for Brits, when we used to have to go, like very much similar to what I did for you as an EU citizen, we'd do that with all Brits, evidently, to get the little green card. But a lot of the time we'd have to go in and prove certain things. And one of my knacks was, because I can't always hear. I'm not deaf, but I haven't got the best hearing in the world. And this was before we had screens everywhere. So I'd be the other side of the desk, and I always had a knack of listening to what they were talking about, you know, so you could preempt and qualify an objection with a residency, and then of course, or you could lip read or something, and then that all stops, didn't it, with masks and screens. I mean, I'll be honest, if I go to an ITV test or we take a vehicle for its inspection and I'm taking it through, I'm working on experience because I can't hear what's going on.
Yeah, it's nightmare. I'm a bit like that. I've got one ear better than the other, but I didn't realise that I lip read more.
Yeah. No, definitely.
So yeah, let's just say hello to some people on the chat. We've got a few people joining now. Steve Knowles, morning Morning. And Rochelle's on again. Good morning, Rochelle. She was with us last week. And Mad David, or is that David with two V's, says morning, chaps. And Liz is on under U2 Aromatherapy. That's my lovely wife. She says morning. I'll be in and out of the chat. And residency is happening on Monday. Very excited.
Yay.
Brilliant. And yeah. So actually, let's, Rochelle, now that you're on, I'm going to put this hint from last week. Somebody has come up with a theory as to why the driving licenses swaps have been delayed. The agreement has been delayed. I'll just read the last part of this. The most plausible reason that I've heard recently has come from somebody who has spoken with the Foreign Office staff off the record. That person was told that the reason for the delay is that since the UK have left the Schengen area post-Brexit, Spain can no longer access the DVLA database in order to establish such things as whether you have a driving ban, etc. This person was told that the IT solution is being worked on, and once this is in place, an exchange agreement will be made. It sounds genuine to me, although I don't know why the UK and Spain can't just ask each other. Well, it's to do with laws, and it's to do with Boris saying everything's got to be British and under our control. He can't go back on that. Well, he could. There we go.
That would make sense. I know that years ago when they used to do the verifications, they actually used to do it sort of like manually by fax. Okay? And then they opened up a digital way of doing it, which made the exchanges a lot quicker. Like literally overnight, they were coming through a lot quicker because of the digital connection. Obviously, that's been broken. So, whether they're coming to that decision now, that could be a valid reason. Definitely.
Oh, Shamil says good morning too. He's back
Morning,
with
Shamil.
us. And let's see. So we're talking about one of the things I was talking about socially. Going to markets, joining the social groups. Like there's a computer social group which has been brilliant, and the whole of the social media connection. One of our big things has been having a dog and also buying a new puppy, which. It's amazing how many people you meet and how many people come up to you on the street, whether they've got a dog or not, but if they're pet owners especially, and you've got a new puppy, everybody comes up to you and makes contact.
I think we were saying when we earlier on, it depends. There's a big demographic of connecting people depending on your situation, whether you're retired, working, or if you've got kids. You'll find that it's different, so... but as you say, having a dog is great because people will stop you. And Spain are animal lovers. They do love animals and will stop you if you've got a dog. And they have kids. My daughter, for example, we end up talking to lots of random people in supermarkets because she's got brilliant blonde hair, but she sounds Andalus when she speaks. So, it's quite funny because she's quite a rarity where we live. So even then. You do, and obviously having kids as they get older, you end up attending all sorts of events and seeing the same people, the same dads. My kids have been with people now for my son, for example. He's been with some people in his class for 8 years because he went to nursery at 5 months because we were both working, and some of those parents we've known for that long, and you end up being part of that social group as well. Getting pregnant is
Yeah, thank you, Rochelle. Yeah, it's not for... I've tried, but no, the doctor says I'm going to be barren. There you go.
It certainly helps. I can tell you, it is good. You end up... it's quite funny because when we have the kids' parties and stuff, I always tend to go to my daughters because we can't always go together, and Lara would go with Rouse because she knows the parents a bit more from working in the same nursery. So, and then obviously for retired people, I don't know if you have them in Computer, but intercambios, which stopped because of COVID, but there used to be a lot of intercambios where Spanish people go to learn English and Brits would go to learn Spanish in bars and stuff. And I haven't attended it myself because my Spanish is good, but I don't know if that is something that's still happening or if that's something that you can set up because
they've been trying. There's a few people been trying in Computer. It tends to be mostly English-speaking people going, And there's so far not many Spanish, but I think it's been to do with COVID really, because we've only just got to the stage where we can not wear masks outdoors. So yeah, I think they'll start happening again.
Yeah. I know there was lots before COVID. I don't know if there's any online portals for intercambios. I mean, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, very good idea. Right. Oh, Rochelle says, after being pregnant, you get offered tasty bits of fruit at market stalls. It was an incredible experience. Yeah, it is true. Because Spanish people love children, and the idea that there's one growing inside you must be amazing.
Yeah, I remember doing the antenatal classes with our, and there's a guy called Javier who did them. And sort of every time he sees you now in the street, he just gives you a nod. Oh, how you doing? And I'm like, how does he know? Because how does he remember? You know, he must be like, my kid's 8 now. Yeah, how many kids, how many mothers has he seen? And still, if you walk past him, he's like, hey, how you doing? You know, it's like, you must know everybody in the town of our demographic, you know. So
Cool. Oh, we've got A. Mitchell. That's yes, he's on a call with you this Wednesday.
oh, brilliant.
So, and he says a bit late tuning in. He's blaming French rural internet problems. So not usually, but here we go. Anthony. Good morning, Anthony.
So they have rural internet problems there as well. Then, so that's
Yeah, they've been doing really well in Spain because the roads going up valleys where there are lots of small Pueblo Blancos in the hills. Spain spent a lot of EU money getting the internet cables up there. So we've got 300 Mbps or whatever it's called, or GBPS. I don't know what it is. Yeah, so it's pretty good, and I'm able to broadcast on it. It's good to know. Yeah, you were talking about a comment you made about there's a different demographic. I can't even say the word of people actually coming to Spain now that you're meeting and getting residency for than there was before.
Yeah, that's something when we're talking about connecting and stuff. Obviously, we've had a very turbulent 3 or 4 years. So when 4 years ago, for example, just after Brexit, or during the before the withdrawal agreement and pre-COVID, there was still quite a transient population of people, like swallows, basically. We used to call people who live here, 4 months of the year, who wouldn't register as residents or were here and not deciding whether to register as residents or not. It used to be, even when you were doing a residency, it almost used to be a sale, even though it was a legal requirement to actually register if you want to spend more than 90 days. It was still a sale. People weren't as committed, shall we say, to being here. And obviously the freedom of movement allowed them to move backwards and forwards. And you would get people who were very accustomed to doing that for a long time. So, when you were talking to somebody, all these things that, like, you're learning now about Spain, like you call a beer a caña and a padrón, what a padrón certificate is, all those kind of things would sort of enter a conversation that I was having with a client quite naturally. Obviously, we've had Brexit and COVID in between, haven't we? So what's happened is, obviously, Brexit, everything's changed. The freedom of movement has gone. So everybody's either had to commit to stay, and people who are coming now new have a different, with their Brits, they have a different form of paperwork. And even for people who are coming on EU passports, maybe people who've got Irish passports, they seem to take a little bit more seriously the fact that they need to get residency because of the restrictions brought in by COVID, to make sure they can continue to travel if they want to. So, I think it's wrong to say that people are more conscientious, shall we say, but there's definitely people taking a lot more seriously the paperwork, a lot more interested in what's happening. And obviously, because now we've lost this sort of transient community, new people are coming. We're having to change. I'm having to change really the format that we speak, because I being here so many years, you literally assume that people know things about Spain, which they actually don't. So you really are dealing with people who've never had anything to do with Spain. And hence why I think communities like this, like the U2 Spain community, have exploded, and because people are doing their research before they come, because you can't be transient anymore.
Yeah, it's true. Very, very true. Let's just look down on. We have Alan Bates says, "Good morning." He has a good question. I haven't. She said. He says, "I have an Irish passport and I want to buy in Spain. Now, when I go over and stay for 6 months, can my wife, who is a UK citizen, come with me and stay for the same amount of time?" There's a few points in there to make about that.
Yeah, well, if you intend to come for more than 3 months, you have to. I've lost your voice there. Then he would have to stay. He would, in theory, have to register as a resident anyway.
Can you hear me? Is my voice back with you now?
Yeah, it's voice back with you. Yeah.
Brilliant. Good.
Yeah.
So, and
his wife would be able to stay with him if they're married.
Yeah.
But obviously doing the correct paperwork.
Yeah. Okay. That's the simple answer. And Rochelle, going back to, as for learning Spanish, what worked really well for them was watching Spanish telly with Spanish subtitles for the deaf, using two senses at the same time to absorb the language. Good hint. I'm going to try doing that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on what period in your life you arrive in Spain. I was fortunate that I arrived quite young. I was 21, and I gravitate evidently in the industry I was in as well. I worked in hotels when I first got here, and so the hotel would provide you with food, accommodation, and then you would naturally at 21 years old, we all, the Spanish Andalusians, we all were working there as well. We gravitated together. In fact, I'm going to go and see a friend of mine today who was working with me. Who's staying in Nerja, and he's French, but our common language between all of us is Spanish. So when we work together, even international, we would speak Spanish. So, but that was many years ago. People who are coming now, maybe not that fortunate, where they don't naturally just fall into a Spanish environment.
And it's important also to learn the language of your community as well, socially. I mean, Andalusian is different. Is a bit different. The accent is certainly different. It's the chopping the endings off words, so it's important to learn those and the colloquial expressions. So, and you can't do that without kind of immersing yourself in the community, can you?
Learn them, but don't use them. Learn them and don't use them. But learn. Be as I have to do this all the time, and Victoria, who works for me, could confirm that. I say, for example, the accent from Loja where you first stayed. It's completely different to a Malagueño accent. It's completely different. The words they use, everything, even ordering breakfast is different 45 minutes away from here. But it's easy as you are learning to pick up the bad habits. And if I personally think you have to really keep yourself on track. I have to all the time, because I could get quite lazy because I'm speaking all the time to friends and stuff like that, and realize that I'm picking up maybe the bad habits in Spanish, which because they're locals, they're quite, they can, that's their accent, and that's how they speak, that's their dialect. Whereas as it's my second language, I might not sound silly, but I think it's better that I try and keep mine on track, the right way.
Yeah. And you're dealing with people who are moving to different parts of Spain as well. So, yeah.
Exactly. And I speak to people in different parts of Spain, different Spanish professionals and stuff. So it's very, very easy when you're learning Spanish to fall into certain aspects of the local dialect. And it's good to understand it, but always try and keep yourself back grammatically correct on track, which is hard.
And talking about business as well, this is something that I think Liz is going to be finding out possibly more than me, because her business is to do with massage therapy. So she's going to need to learn an extra lot of language, an extra lot of vocabulary, which is very specific to her business. So that's something well worth knowing if you're setting up.
Yeah, and it's fine. You do learn like things which you learn your dialect. You sometimes we touched on this before in another video, where you think you're doing really well, and then suddenly you get thrown into a whole new situation, like I did when we had kids, And the first time we went to a school meeting, like Lara, my wife, she's brilliant at knowing all the school terms and stuff. I'm like, what's this? What's that? I've never come across that word in my life, So they find you've got these, you can be fluent in Spanish, but then you have these massive gaps where you just don't know because you've never used it, especially if, like me, you started off by learning, just conversationally living with people. So, and it's the same. When I came to do up a house, the first time we did one 15 years ago, we went to go and buy some material, and I realised I didn't have a clue what any of it was called. Within a month, you learn what it's called. So yeah, definitely. If you're coming over starting a business and stuff, obviously it's good to get the vocabulary that you need to do that.
There's Liz saying she's got to learn anatomy Spanish.
Yeah.
So yeah, all technical, so a lot of medical terminology there. But
you learn. I mean, what's a good opportunity is, and I bet Liz will have it, where people who are Spanish, you might even want to learn a bit of English, And I don't think you need to, learn, do the best you can, but I think learn on the job. As you go along, ask your clients. They love the interaction. Less, I suppose, it's supposed to be a relaxing massage, and you're going, what's this called? But, I think that that's probably an opportunity there to learn.
Definitely. I have a question from the social media. This is the last one from there. This is a fairly random question. But Robert Hyde wants to know, how do I find out who is the president of an urbanisation? Presumably he's not moved in yet, because if he hadn't, it would be easy to find out on a notice board.
Yes, that's it. So normally it's there on a notice board. If some urbanisations have websites and stuff, so yeah, I'm presuming that, though I've never had to do it myself, the president of an urbanisation would have to be, if it's an urbanisation in Andalusia, there'd be somewhere deep, dark, called Andalusia website where you can find out. But evidently, the easiest way is to go and have a look at the notice board in your urbanisation.
Yeah, when you're looking around at houses, and I suppose estate agents would know as well if they're the ones taking you around. Yeah,
depending on, if it's a block of flats, then normally they have one of those glass things. And if it's a house, should we say, gated community, you'd probably find out from security there as well.
Okay, so let's move on to talking about different systems. This is something not just specific to business, but for example, buying a car. I'll show the documents for that, because they look very different to the documents that you get in the UK. These are my documents, the two important documents. I suppose this is the equivalent of the logbook, the one at the top. That's and right. The one underneath is, what's that the equivalent of? Is that the...
so if you imagine on, if we're comparing it to a UK logbook, then that would be the one at the top is and I'll explain why they changed these now. The one at the top is the confirmation who owns the vehicle, which repeats some of the information from the bottom document, which is your Ficha Technica. That's actually an old Ficha Technica. There is a newer version brought out a few years ago, which I might have one to hand somewhere. And basically that top one, so that bottom document, which is the technical document, really belongs to the vehicle. So in the UK, for example, every time you swap the ownership of a vehicle, you would get a new logbook. In Spain, you don't get the new technical book. That book stays with the car forever.
That's why it's an old one.
That's why it's an old one. Unless you lose it, then you have to get a duplicate. Whereas the top document is the ownership document. So basically, if you were to sell that vehicle, that would have to be sent off, and the new one would be issued for the new owner.
Interestingly, sorry, carry on.
No, so just saying. So that's the difference between it's slightly like the left side and right side of a logbook, but with mixed information.
Interestingly enough, that's my previous car, because we are now on our second car, even though we only arrived in Spain in October, because this is one of the things you find out. It's like people saying some really good advice: rent first before you buy, because there are things that you don't know and you can't anticipate. We bought that car, which was a Volkswagen Passat estate car, thinking that just fits in with the sort of business that we think we'll be doing. It's got a good enough boot for Liz to get all her stuff in for the markets, and my PA system for when I'm doing gigs. But as it turned out, to get into our driveway, there's a piece of concrete, a concrete lip, and the ground clearance on the VW Passat's only about 10 centimetres, and we would bump the thing on the bottom every time we go through the gates. So just that small thing has meant that's just the wrong car for us. And also driving through the streets of Computer, which are really narrow, we found that, and being able to park an estate car, just very difficult. The car parks are just not built for that. Right. So now we've got a tiny little Fiat Panda, which has got much greater ground clearance. We're much higher up. You can go up the mountain roads on it, and it's, but it's still, you can just manage to fit everything in that we need. So that's just one of the examples of the sort of the different things that you'll only learn when you get here. And buying a car, getting used to all of the different documents and utility bills as well. I mean, I thought that I knew a lot about utility companies and customer service because I used to work for East Midlands Electricity back in the UK many moons ago for my sins, and I knew the nuances of how to deal with utility companies and people over the phone and the sort of phrases that customer service people use to put a barrier up to stop you talking and get you to the point. And so I knew how to ask the right questions, how to get the best from a phone call very quickly, and to recognise when I was talking to a novice or to a really experienced customer service representative. But you move to a foreign country and you're having to speak to people for whom English isn't their first language, or they don't speak it at all. All of that experience is just useless. You don't get any of the nuances. So that's really, really daunting.
Yes, but I haven't spoke. I obviously I've done it in Spanish a lot, but I haven't actually done it in English. Though now what I have noticed is for example, Sabadell Bank phoned me the other day, and they just immediately called me in English because obviously seen my name, seen everything. So I was like, okay, so they seem to be, up in their game in that respect. And and the electric company, I was quite surprised actually at Endesa. I did it in Spanish, did electric changeover quite quickly for 2 contracts myself, and it was very, very efficient, I have to say.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah. So there's a question from Liz actually. I just don't know if you know anything about this. Liz has been asking at the town hall in the coastal towns, how do you get a license to do massage therapy on the beach, massage people's hands and feet? And they said, we don't know, it's not us. So
the town hall said that?
Yeah. Well, they said it's not us.
Really? From my understanding, if it's town hall property, then they have to permit it, and if it's private, then you shouldn't have a problem. If it's someone else's property, then why not? The only thing is a lot of the chiringuitos on the beach depend on the town hall, at least from the town hall. So it should be the town hall, really. Yeah,
there we go. Rochelle says exactly the same thing. Great minds think alike. So that's not answered the question. I think we need to ask again at the town hall. Maybe we'll get somebody else, Liz, and find out if they know. They should know.
It might be worth I think your town hall might have a sede electronica. Okay, so I think like if for example Antonio holds your digital certificate or you've got your digital certificate, instead of just asking, because what will happen, and this is quite relevant to what we're talking about in communities. If you just go in the town hall and say, I need a license to go to the beach, it's going to, let's be honest, the administrative staff would do less than more and just go, I don't know. Right? Whereas if you actually submitted a request on the digital platform, if they've got one, then they would have to respond to that request. Now, I don't know how long they're going to take to respond to that request, but they would have to send it to the relevant department. The relevant department would probably send you a PDF or something, but because it's digitally signed, they have to respond. So we have very much the same problem here in Alarin de la Torre. So here in Alarin, They've got a great digital platform to submit documents when the firma digital works, which is just updated and have a problem with. But if you go in and ask anything, they just really will palm you off.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like, yes, no, nothing, put it on the digital platform, whereas they have to respond. So it might be worth actually either doing it yourselves or getting Antonio to do it on your behalf, submitting a request for information surrounding that.
Okay.
And being as specific as possible as well. So if you're saying, well, I would like to set up this here and there, they might turn and say no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good to know. We're just having some connection issues, apparently. I don't know if that's for everybody. I can see Chris in here and I can hear myself. So stay with us, everybody. That's the only solution there. Just a quick look at the chat. John Nelson says, hi from New Zealand. Wow, you're up very late or very early. Skatz, have you got any gigs lined up as yet? As that's what I will be looking at when we get there later this year. I'm in the process of doing that at the moment. A lot of the venues around here have been not putting on gigs because of COVID, or it's not the right time yet. But it's coming on to the time when they're starting to put gigs on. And I'm also starting a band with a fellow musician that I met here. I'm going to call ourselves the Ugly Sisters. So look out for that when you come over.
When John comes, I spoke to John this week. When he comes, then he can join on. You can jump on then as well.
Brilliant. Are you a musician then, John?
Check out his YouTube channel. He's got a duet with someone very famous on there.
Oh, brilliant. I'll look out for that. And Barry from Unitech. Morning. Many apologies for being late. Don't worry, Barry. He's busy this week and he had a lie-in. Oh, that's very nice. That's lovely to hear. Good to hear from you. We were talking about documents, interestingly enough. And I've been getting my tax organised with our friend Antonio, the Hestor, and it's interesting to see how different all of the systems here are. The facturas, in the UK, I thought invoices go out, invoices come in, which that's the way that you talk about them in the UK. But no, an invoice here is something that you get from somebody else. A factura is something that you give to somebody to get paid. Yeah. So that's something that you need to know. And I need to start sending out facturas. And there's a system which we're going to be using, which kind of automatically sends my details of every factura that I send out to my Hestor. And that's something that I've never done before. And there's other things to do with that with taxation as well, and with dealing with your Hestor. You have to have a certain code for different activities. This is the thing that's really complicated for people like me, because I've got music gigs, I've got this channel, there's kind of advertising and commission and sponsorship, and I also sell merchandising, but I don't have a shop because I pay commission to an online company from America. And then so it starts to get very complicated. And I just looked at the form that I need to fill in for each factura, and it has very complex information. I was just talking to Chris before we started the broadcast today about how do I work out if I promised a certain price, like €50 for something, how do I work out what the price I have to charge is before tax so that it ends up being exactly 50. So much to learn, and there's more systems to connect with.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, because obviously, you have, first thing you have to do is like clear your mind of a UK mentality, or where you come from. Spain's completely different. And one of the biggest differences, which you just touched on there, is the closed price. So in Spain, it's generally plus. And I honestly think it comes from years and years and years of under the table sort of attitude to business. So it'd be like con it or sink it, even if you want it cash or not. So subsequently, you ask for a price for something, or then we will be with IVA. That's the general understanding here. Whereas in the UK, generally people expect a closed price, don't they, for what you're doing, which the VAT would be included in that. And systems like that you're saying, what you're going to be using, I've got one as well, are quite handy. They should, I think, once you get your head around it, they should calculate if you want to have a total and then calculate it for you. But yeah, it is different. The Spanish system doesn't quite understand like multiple income streams. So if you're receiving a commission from somebody, again, it's quite normal now that somebody who's got a business which uses a lot of providers, people to promote their business and stuff, has different multiple incomes. And I can remember just once just saying to Antonio, okay, right, we're going to receive a commission from this company, and I how do I just put that into my tax return as income? And he's like, no, you're not registered. I'm like, well, I'm sure I am. And he's like, no, you need to go. It's a completely different registration. There's RPF in that. No, you can't do that. And I was like, well, so I had to tell the company, right, hold off a minute. I'm going to complete a new structure, present a new model. So, I mean, and obviously, if you're working with other companies in the EU, including if you use like online services, like we use a lot of online platforms, and you'll get an invoice from them, which a lot of them now moved over into Ireland to combat Brexit. You need to be registered as an inter-community activity. You need to be registered as working inter-communities, which is it's your NIE number plus ES. So I think the moral of the story is obviously always ask your accountant before. If you're just doing one thing, that's great. But if you're going to diversify into anything, it's always great to ask your accountant first, because I've made a mistake personally. I've gone, right, this is brilliant. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And he's like, well, you need to be registered this way.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is as well, you've got to do your facturas in date order. So if you have to change one, well, you can't change it once you can't change the number on it. Otherwise, if you're out of order, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you can't change. You can't change your the numbers on your factura once. I mean, during the quarter you can, but once you've submitted them, you can't. And obviously, a big thing as well is the expenses. You've got to make sure that when you are collecting expenses that relate to your activity, that you get a proper factura with all your details on it, not a factura simplificada, which is just like a receipt. It has to be a proper one. So
yeah, all kinds of things you need to know there. Anthony says, if you have multiple codes for your business, do you pay more than one set of charges? You pay a fee to get each one set up. I think each of your codes set up, unless you get them all set up in one go. That's how Antonio does it anyway.
Yeah. No, so I mean, different people act in different ways, don't they? Basically, so, different accountants will charge you for different things, really.
Rochelle says she has 4 different codes, or epigraphes, and she uses that code on the facturas, then give them a number from 1 to whatever. The system that I've got automatically numbers them, and that makes it easier for the head store to deal with them. Yeah, good to know. And Rochelle says she agrees with Barry's comment. Consumer law says a quote to a private individual needs to be with IVA included.
No, that's But I want to say it's not. Sometimes it'll always figure. But when I'm talking about a mentality, the way people think, we're in the UK, we think of a closed price with it included, and then in Spain they'll say it's 200 plus IVA. So the quote you'd get would be, the other way around. But whatever way, when you do give somebody a quote, it has to be disclosed, the VAT, which is going to be there.
Is there anything else that we need to know about the systems? Have you got any systems that would
yes,
need talking about?
Again, it works with if you use a CRM, like a customer relationship management system, to keep all your stuff in one place. I always think that's a good idea, and I would always, when you are dealing in your business community in Spain, you'll find that people like to use WhatsApp a lot, and they like to use Facebook Messenger and stuff. And we sort of direct all that traffic into our email and respond that way, because sometimes we've got automated responses and stuff that we use, and information we can answer questions without us always repeating ourselves all the time. We'll say, like, read this, and if you've got a question, come back to us. Because it's in Spain, especially businesses in Spain, they're WhatsApp mad, but it's hard to keep control of it all the time over WhatsApp, I think. And then you don't if you are doing that, you find yourself being reactive and not having time to deal with all your tasks. So it's always better if you could control it on your system. Say, right, listen, I like what we do book calls. And one of the biggest reasons we do book calls is so I've got 100% attention with the client, and I know what's being said. We can put the notes because it's quite serious stuff we're talking about. Whereas I've seen a lot of businesses in the past make the mistake of being reactive to like WhatsApps and stuff like that, and you're not really giving the correct information. You know, that's just how we do it. But yeah, it's so hard to control multiple flows of people. So you can direct it using automated messages one way.
We're just settling. I'm just setting up the website here. So I'll have a website, we'll have the YouTube channel, and we'll have the Facebook. I've got a Facebook group and a Facebook page, and I've got to make sure that those are all kind of working together, rather than doing all separate things. They've all got to focus on. I think we'll focus everything into the website, and you can bounce off everywhere else from that. I think.
Yeah.
That's going to be important.
Yeah, and you'll get contacted from various sources, but it's hard to keep control of it all the time.
And Anthony says, do you pay one Autonomo social charge for the whole business or for each code? That's an easy one. It's just one.
Just one.
Yeah. Just one, yeah. Thank goodness for that.
You could be an Autonomo and have, 2 or 3 registered trademarks. It depends. Obviously, Autonomo and limited company are completely different. But we're talking about self-employed here, Autonomo. There's absolutely nothing stopping you having a structure where, for example, we've only got one. We've got our, which I proudly have on the wall here, our registered trademark Upsticks. But if I decided to expand and have another trademark, we could work that all under my Autonomo as long as the tax structure is correct.
Rochelle said, that depends on your activities. Is our answer to that? Yeah, in answer to Anthony, I think. Do you pay one social charge? Yeah. But it would be everything. I know everything on my accounts is under my name, but yes, I can have different business names within that, and it all goes through one charge.
Yeah.
So maybe you can expand on what it depends on, Rochelle, in the live chat there. The live chat gets displayed to everybody afterwards.
With respect to Rochelle, that'd be more a question for your accountant as well, really, because everybody's situation is completely different, isn't it? So.
Yeah, that's true. I had a note before saying another way you can connect with people is get yourself on the radio, like Chris did. You were on Thursday, weren't you? What were you talking about there?
There's a lot of networking groups on the coast. I'm involved in a brilliant networking group, which I'm going to give them a shout out, actually, called Business First here in TIMECODES. They also have one in Marbella, and I got invited along, and then I joined, and they've been brilliant. And from there, I've met a lot of people who have given me access to basically it's free content on social media. So and you're also getting yourself out there and talking about what you do, aren't you? So the other day I was talking to Bill Anderson, who's a counsellor and an author from TIMECODES, and that was really good, because not only are you getting yourself known, you're also then getting content, which you can then spread across your social media, and that builds your community. And then through that networking group as well, I met some marketers in Fingarola who did a piece on us. Also, we've been on Marbella TV as well. So everybody needs constant content, and if you can get yourself out there on local platforms, it's amazing. And that's all part of the networking experience, because then you meet people and you end up doing business with those people, knowing what you do. So yeah, I think today's day and age, people like to put a face to the name. And if you can get yourself out there, on any form of social media talking about what you do, it's a good idea.
Face to face really is important, I think. For my business, doing the music, I did a free gig at a market, and there was somebody from a local venue who was there, and then that was passed on to somebody else. So that's the way I've started making contacts and getting gigs.
Yeah. Just making contact, people, people knowing people. You'd be really surprised on eventually how people come across you. But obviously, you've got a network.
Mm-hmm. And we've had a lot of questions actually coming through. Anthony says that leads us to ask, will you be doing a live show with Antonio, the hair store? I will be in the future. Yes, we've got quite a backlog of things already booked. I actually have a different tax specialist because we've had a lot of questions about capital gains tax from the UK and businesses in the UK. So I've got a UK tax expert coming on in the last Saturday of this month to talk about those specifically. But yes, I'll have Antonio on again. But he's been on before, so if you have a look back in the archives of the videos here, you'll see a very good video with Antonio talking about running your own business. And we'll have some of your questions already answered in that, I think, Anthony. And
I think there is a whole show, an Autonomo show about that on Antonio, because everybody's situation is completely different. It depends. Like the other day we came across one where I wasn't aware that if you had a village which was less than 5,000 people and you went to registered as Autonomo, you had to be on the padron to take benefits of the reduction for the first 2 years. I didn't know that. I'm not an accountant, so it's definitely depending on your situation, like whether you're married and stuff like that. Your personal income situation. One thing's good to know is that you can't employ your wife here if you're Autonomo, so I think that probably an Autonomo show would be a good one.
I live in a town which has got less than 5,000, and Antonio said, well, let's see if that's going to work out for you. And in the end, the discount wasn't going to be worth it. Yeah. So, Donna says, when you go Autonomo, how many years do you have to pay in to qualify for a Spanish pension, even if it's a very small pension? That might be something for our pension and tax advisor at the end of the month, I think.
I believe it's 15 and then 35 for the maximum pension or something like that. But it's all reflected on your vida laboral.
Yeah. Of course, there used to be. For me, they paid in for contributions in Ireland for 7 or 8 years, I think. So I can combine that, paying Spain for 7 or 8 years to make up 15 to get the pension from there. So yeah, you need a good pension advisor for that. And let's see. Shamil says the sound issues. Can you still hear me, Chris?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Good. It's going on and off. There's a problem with the sorry. Harry says the sound is breaking. Oh no. Talk for a bit, Chris.
I'll talk for a bit. What should we talk about? What was I looking at here on our notes? We were talking about obviously connecting with people, weren't we? And when you come over, I mean, the good thing about nowadays social media, you can do quite a bit beforehand, can't you? Obviously people are doing a lot of preparation before they come. Hence the YouTube channel's doing well. And then once you're here, if you are in business, obviously leveraging the Spanish businesses and making the connection between the Spanish businesses and your market. A lot of people try and concentrate on just an expat market, but maybe if you are looking at a business, then just remember that there are obviously a high population of Spanish here as well, or like, for example, with our business, we connect with a lot of Spanish companies who don't want to do the part that we do, so they'll hand them over to us and then we hand them back. You'll have a service level agreement, but it might be a lawyer who says, I really don't want to do that NIE, but I don't want you to do anything else for the client. So that's fine. Hand it to us, send them back, So it's certainly explore all opportunities rather than just looking at the expat community as well. I can hear you again.
Good. Rochelle says, no, it's not 15 from Spain. You can still add contributions from EU countries. That's actually what I was talking about when you couldn't hear me. I was saying that I've got contributions from Ireland and I can add those onto my contributions from Spain because I've only got, 10 or 11 years to go before retirement here. So I haven't got time to do the whole 15. But fortunately, I've done 7 or 8, I think, in Ireland. So I can add that. And there's also, I did contributions in the UK from way back when as well. So I've got a small amount from there and a small amount from a private pension. So hopefully that will be okay. There we go.
Again, another question for Antonio when he comes on.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got something from Anthony. I was going to say that's all from the questions, but here we go, Anthony. Just a heads up, we've heard in France that the S1 can now be sent to a UK address within 90 days. Road Brexit visa people, if that helps anyone. Yes, we kind of announced that.
We had one this week delivered to a client. They said 2 weeks, and it came in 2 days. Well, no, wow. It came on the Thursday, ordered on a Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday came on the Thursday. So Ian, who should be watching actually, who's one of my little shout out lists there. And we had a chat, and I said, look, get on the phone to them, and he did, and they had it to him, this week. So it's working. It's working. They said 2 weeks, and we planned for 2 weeks, but it came through literally. I was shocked. He sent me a photo, and I went, "Is that your S1?" And we've had them go through the consulates with no problem at all. We had one a Thursday in Manchester go through, and it was London, I think, on Monday as well. So the S1, what we spoke about before, seems to be working well. We've had approvals on them as well, so good.
So you can probably tell from the sound problems that we had there that we've nearly come to the hour. This is when it seems to happen, just before we're heading up to the hour. And do you have to head off and take Raoul to the golf?
I don't today, because we're going to sunny Nerja later on. So I do have to go, and I do have to finish a pile of paperwork which we've got here. Apart from that, that's not today. He's having a day off because we're going to go and see some friends of ours who are here for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
So any shout outs you want to do before we round up?
Yes. I just wanted to say hi, because there's some people here who came through the channel and contacted us, and some people that we sort of directed to who are going to be watching today. So there's Patrick and Rosemary who are coming to Alicante in October. Spoke to them. Ian and Rachel are coming next year. I know they'll be watching. John, who's already been on the chat. Spoke to John, who's going to be playing a gig with you. Check out his YouTube channel as well, because John's got a YouTube channel there. You can actually see him sing and stuff. Anthony and Kerry, who I think we might end up having a road trip to go and see at some point.
Yeah, he's going to be going to Huelva.
Yeah, so we're going to go down there and eat Rizos de Mar in Cadiz. And Paul and Sue from Essex, who I was on the phone to yesterday, who are actually in process now. We're just waiting for the kickoff date really to get going. So I think everybody will be on today. They all said they'll be watching. So just wanted to give them all a quick shout out.
Brilliant. So anything else we need to say about connecting with people?
No, I think it's just a case. I mean, be open-minded. When you come, Spain is different. I think sometimes it can be frustrating at times. Understand when you first get here and things are slightly different, maybe slightly slower. But it's all a learning curve. When you do get here, just come with an open mind and try and expand further, obviously, than the expat community.
Oh, there's a question here that I missed out on the way up. Vocalize Music. That's a nice name. Can you confirm Spain are allowing entry with proof of recovery certificate? That's a proof of recovery from COVID.
Check
out Rochelle might know.
Check out the article on our website, which gives you all the relevant links. It updates that. In the end, what I did in the end was just put every single link to every single page which is relevant to coming into Spain, because they update it so many times now. They said that.
There we go. Rochelle says, join Spanish clubs. If you like cycling, join a cycling club. There are so many in every village. Yeah, it's true. There's good ones here. Walking clubs around this area, especially because we're, as you can see, we're in the mountains. There we go. And Anthony says, muchas gracias todos. Hasta pronto.
See.
There we go. So that is SPTH website. What's that one? Is that that's the cycling, is it, Rochelle? Thank you for putting that one up.
Yes. I'll put a link to our article on there.
So prize winners.
PTH website.
Prize winners. Who should we give a prize to this week?
Oh, I don't know. Who are we gonna? Can we get stuff to New Zealand? I'll have a go.
Yeah.
We've got our folders which we're sending out.
Yeah, so John Nelson, you're the prize winner this week for being the one who lives furthest away. We're going to experiment with the postage system.
Put it in the post.
Yeah, you might get it before you come to Spain at some point.
Who else? We've got some more here. Who else are going to give a prize to? Skatz?
Yeah, let's see. Rochelle's already had a prize. Well, she's getting. Have you had it yet, Rochelle? Oh, it only went out on Friday. Shamil's had one. Barry from Unitex had one. You're all our regular guests. That's the thing. Has Anthony had one yet? Anthony, he's doing a call with you on Wednesday. Is that who he said?
Oh, I don't think so. Has Anthony had one? Let's put one to Anthony over here for Anthony.
Yeah, let's give you one as well, Anthony.
Next one. There we go. We've got another one here. That's two. That's two we've got. Well, let's get another one. But one more.
Maybe vocalized music. If you can, whatever your name is, could you get onto the Facebook page, the U2 Spain Facebook page, and get in contact with us that way? Because I will lose the chat once we've gone off the air here. So get in touch via the Facebook group, or do a comment underneath this video.
Yeah.
And we'll get in touch with you that way. Give us an email address or something, or get in touch with Chris via his website at upsticks.es.
Yeah,
there we go.
So drop us a note on there. There's an inquiry form or email address. Just drop it across, and we'll get it out. So I'll put them three aside now. And
if anyone's got an extra brilliant comment or question to ask, then do that during the week under this video, and we'll see if we can get you a prize for next week. Brilliant. So that's it with the questions. Before I give any more relevant information, we'll say goodbye to Chris. So
right, see you later. See you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I'll see you on Monday.
I'll see you on Monday. I'll be buying you a copy built online.
Brilliant. We'll see you there.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now. Well, there we go. So next week's show, I'll be talking to Zach from Apostille Services in the UK, all about getting your documents translated and apostilled. That's something we've talked about before in a show last year, but this is a different company, and they are somebody that we are connected with in terms of having an affiliate link down below in the video description. So if you can actually get a cheaper price from going through the link, you get I think a 10% discount on that. So we'll be talking to him about that whole process and seeing what other questions he can answer. Of course, at our regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain. That's Central European time. Let's see, there's another comment from Rochelle just before we go. Everybody in Andalusia can apply for the second 12 months at the lower tarifa plana unless over 47 years of age. There we go. That's relevant to something we were talking about earlier. So thank you very much, Rochelle, for all the information. Thank you to all of our people on the live chat today, and all of you watching afterwards. Please do put your comments in and click on the like button as well. And if you've not subscribed and joined us, then please do that. Then you can get notifications of every time a video comes out or every time we've got a live show. And you can keep in touch, and we'll answer your questions all the time. There we go. Don't forget to check out as well U2 Aromatherapy and U2 Yoga. You can get free yoga and meditation classes. There's also the brand new t-shirt designs on our merchandise page. And don't forget to buy me a coffee to support U2 Spain. All of the links you can find in the video description below. It's easy to find. It just says show more somewhere down there at where it says what the video is all about. So that is all for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe and click on the bell if you haven't already. Peace and love, and let's get ready to dance with that music. Bye for now.